Hey everyone, it is Neha with College Shortcuts. I hope you're having an incredible day. Today, I want to talk about how to get your kid into college in less than 21 days. Now, if you don't believe me, I'm going to break it down for you today to show you that it is totally possible to get this process done in 3 weeks. So let me tell you about what you need to be doing for those 3 weeks specifically that's going to help you go from A to Z in the college admissions process. First, when it comes to week 1, what you want to do is the first thing you want to do is start asking your child, what are you interested in? From there, once you've decided what their interests might be, you then start to build a college list that is effective based on what they're looking for. Now, there's different things every student looks for. Some want a big school, some want a small school. Some want cold weather, some want hot weather. Some people want, schools with frats and sororities, some don't. So you want to make sure you factor in all the different little factors that can make all the difference to save yourself time and money in the application process. Then, once you've figured out what that large list is, you then want to cut it down to something less than 20 schools. Now, on average, most students are applying to about 12 to 15 schools just to ensure they have a balanced college list. Now, you might be wondering, what's a balanced college list? That's a mouthful, actually. Let me try that again. What is a balanced college list? Well, what that means is that there's reach schools, target, and safety schools. Now, for a lot of people, a reach school could be a safety school for another student. Now, how do you determine that? That's based on the GPA and the SAT or ACT score. So you want to make sure that you're really taking a look and analyzing the data of what was going on the year before at that university of what they typically accept. Now, I don't care what level you're at, an Ivy League or top 10 or 15 university is always going to be a reach school. I wish I could tell you it wasn't, and that just because you're within range it works, but the truth is they get 40 or 50,000 applications and they've only got a few thousand spots left to really fill their class. And so therefore, it's a reach school for everyone. And then when you cut your target schools, that means those are schools you'd love to go to, and you have a very good chance of getting in. And then the safety schools are still schools you want to go to, but what they do is these are schools that are probably throw a lot of money at your child to ensure that you are interested in going there because they know that you are already at the top of what their typical freshman class is. So that's what you want to do in week 1 is really figure out what that list is. And some of the best resources is Googling it, going to the college websites, and building out a very, very detailed Excel file that puts all those factors in there so that your child is finding the right 10 to 15 to 20 schools to ensure that they have a really balanced college list. And I will tell you, we see some families that have applied to 1 or 2 schools, they don't get in, and they have to take a gap year. Or they apply to all these reach schools thinking, oh, of course, I'm a top student, I should get in, and then they don't get in anywhere. And so it's very important to make a balanced list. The second thing you want to do in week 1 is start to build out the resume. Now, you've spent all this time doing incredible stuff, and as parents, I know you've been leading your children along the way. What you want to ensure is that we want to get it together in a beautifully designed resume. Because on the Common Application, they ask specific questions about activities, what you did, and why it mattered. So you really want to make sure you're starting to get all of that together on paper. So those would be my 2 biggest tips for week 1, getting that all together, figuring out what's needed, and then once you have that college list, we're going to move to week 2. Now in week 2, what you're going to do is week 2 is all about the essays. Once you've got that finalized list, you're excited about, where your child's going to go and they're excited about the schools on their list. They can't wait. Now it's about taking a moment, looking at all the different topics of essays and figuring out what you're going to do with each one of them. Now, if you have a list of 10 to 15 schools, that could be upwards of 20 different essays that are involved in that process. Stanford alone has upwards of 11 essay prompts. Wake Forest has upwards of 13 to 14. Depending on these colleges, you can have a lot of different essays. And so it's very important to make sure you know every topic that's being asked for every single college. Once you have that all together in a document, this is where the real magic happens, and this is where brainstorming happens. This is where, your child really needs to take the time to figure out what is going to be their unique angle in getting in. What is it that makes your child the unicorn in the process and standing out and really not looking like all the other 4 million kids that are applying every single year? So you really want to dig deep and figure out, is it a story about, struggle or difficulty? Is it the story about an activity they did and, they became the top at that activity? Is it about the passions they have and some of the internships or experiences they've had? Is it about, something about their character or grit or resilience? There's so many different ways to build that unique angle, and then from there, start writing those essays. Now, let's talk about the essay process. This is the part where everyone gets confused and they're very daunted by the whole process. And I don't think that people should be so scared. See, on average, most of these prompts don't change. The colleges typically ask the same types of questions. And this is the beauty if you are applying to college right now. When parents were applying, you guys applied with paper. You maybe applied to 1 to 4 schools, you got in, and it was easy. You were handwriting your essays. This was pre-Netscape Navigator and Oregon Trail. I mean, this is way back in the day. And I'm not trying to date you guys. I'm just trying to let you know the difference. Let you know the difference of what was happening during that time. I'm going to grab a little sip of water here. Looks like I got a little excited. My voice is getting out. Now, the big thing about, when you applied versus now is that there's so many different essays that have to be done. So much better. Now, the thing about it is the beauty of applying now is that the common application is a template. So your one main essay is going to go to every single school. That's why that essay is like gold. It is super important to get that essay correct because it either puts you in the acceptance pile or the rejection pile like this. I don't care what your grades are. I don't care what your SAT or ACT scores. If you don't nail this part of week 2 properly, you aren't getting in. If you have a tone of arrogance or braggery versus confidence and humbleness and genuineness, totally makes a difference in the process. So you really want to make sure that you're handling this process properly, where you're really getting the right types of things in that essay. Now, once you have all the essays outlined and you figured out what you're going to do, now's the time to start setting some parameters and deadlines around every single essay and getting them done. Now, in order to do this, you can't be doing any social activities. You're not going out on Friday night. You're not watching movies on Saturday. This is where you're going to be spending lots of time in the drafting phase. And it's important to know that it takes a couple of hours to really get these types of essays together. Once you have an outline, it's a lot easier, but it takes time to write. So make sure you don't schedule anything else during this week except writing time. Outside of school, outside of extracurriculars, your whole weekend should be spent just writing. Let's talk about week 3. So week 3, once you've got all your essays together, you've got a Google Doc of about 25 pages. And I know that sounds like a lot to people, but I see it all day long. And we work with thousands of kids that do this. And by the time they're done, they have this long document. So they've got their college list, they've got their resume done, they've got their essays done. They have 90% of the work completed, which is amazing. And we see it all the time with students that are willing to dedicate, get their homework done, and like that, they're done with their applications. So let's talk about the last part, which is submitting the applications and making sure you have all the other little parts. Now, you want to make sure you know who you're getting letters of recommendation from. It's either going to be a coach or a teacher or someone within the community, and then your guidance counselor at school. And then after that, you want to make sure that you have all the applications, you know exactly where they are, whether it's UC schools, Apply Texas, Coalition, or Common App. Have all those logins ready. You know exactly what needs to be done. You're going to spend the rest of this week editing and polishing those essays and also prepping for any interviews that you may have. You want to make sure you're contacting these schools and really ensuring that you're building relationships, because I truly believe that building a relationship can make all the difference. Let's talk about one student. I was working with a student named Lily, and she was hell-bent on going to a top school. And so she made sure to contact the school, email the school. They visited the school as a family. She sent emails afterwards. She met with an alumni nearby. So you really want to make sure that you're taking all those extra steps, because that really matters in the application process. So if you have the opportunity to actually interview or meet with an alumni or anything of that nature, you want to go ahead and take that opportunity. But you got to make sure you prep beforehand. Again, you want to be a unicorn in the admissions process. And that means not just showing up for an interview, but being prepped for it. So this last week is where you're going to practice. Look at interview questions that people have asked before. You can Google things like that. Make sure you're building that relationship. Make sure you're getting those letters of recommendations from those people at your school or your community so you really stand out. And then once those essays are edited to final draft, all you have to do is copy and paste into the application. Now, I know so many parents are watching and they're saying, oh my God, if I could have copy and pasted, like we were snail mailing everything all over the place, hoping it got to them, or used a typewriter, right? Like you just have to copy and paste your work in and you hit the submit button. And then from there, you want to continue to reach out to the school, see how things are going, maybe visit the school, reach out, make sure your school guidance counselor has also sent in the transcript, talk to them about which scores to send, if it's super scored for the SAT or ACT for each school, and make sure all those documents are being sent. Did you know 1 in about 15 students get rejected just by forgetting one of these steps? So that is, just from your perspective and my perspective, the quick way of doing this in 3 weeks. Now, I know we've got early deadlines coming up. A lot of families are stressed out right now. Maybe you've been trying to push your senior to get things done and they still seem to think that it's far away. The truth of the matter is deadlines, no matter what you're doing, early or regular or early decision or action, restrictive, whatever it is, it's coming up fast. We are less than 100 days at the end of the school year, which is unbelievable. We've got a couple weeks before Christmas. You better start getting that hot chocolate kit out, guys. And the thing about it is, it's going to be there like this. I'll be honest. I thought, I remember when it was New Year's this year and it was like this, it was May, like this, it was back to school, and time just goes really fast. So that's why with us at College Shortcuts, we have found that we've helped kids get into college in less than 21 days because we know how to structure things and build the shortcuts in place to make it easy for you. So one of the things that we really love is that we work with students on all of these different steps, and we also help them to edit their essays to final draft. So instead of going through 50 different revisions or staring at someone across the screen while they're editing, we actually do that on our own time so that your child doesn't have to sit there back and forth wondering if their edits were done right. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on how to truly get your student into college in less than 21 days, where if you did these in a dedicated amount of time, spend a couple of hours every single week on this project with them, that you too can make this happen. But if you want that admissions expert experience, if you want consultants that know and do this day in, day out, please feel free to reach out to us at collegeshortcuts.com. We would love to speak with you. And if you've got any questions, please comment below. I check every single comment. So thanks so much for watching, and this is exactly what it takes to get into college in 21 days if you're in a rush. Again, this is Neha Gupta, founder of College Shortcuts, and I'm so excited to help serve you and your family to help your child find their passion, their personality, be a unicorn in the admissions process, and help pitch them to get them into